Today on this session, we've got Amanda Bertucci and Harold Buter from our pre-sales team, and myself, Stephen Robinson, from the sales team in the UK. Just before we kind of get things kick-started, we will have everybody on mute for the duration of the presentation, just to ensure that we get through it in a timely manner. If you want to have questions, there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end. And there is also the opportunity to ask questions as we go from the questions section in the control panel within GoToMeeting. And we have got a team on hand to answer questions by text as we go. So if you have got anything that comes up during the presentation that you have a pressing need to ask, then feel free to ask it via the questions tab. So if we can get things kick-started. Basically what we're going to do today is have a quick overview about Arcserve for those of you who are not familiar with who we are, and maybe a bit of a refresh for some of you that are, and then go through some of the background to why we've created these appliances in terms of the DR strategy challenges that we see in the industries across Europe. And then we will go into specifically some of the technical features and benefits of the Arcserve 9000 appliances, and finish off with some example use cases as to where these could be used. So about us, the first thing you should take from this slide is Arcserve has been around a very long time. You know, we've been developing data protection solutions for well over 30 years now, and it's really puts us in a position where we are the most experienced data protection vendor in the world. Our all-in-one solution ensures business continuity across all three IT platforms, tape, disk, and cloud, providing maximum flexibility, simplicity, and speed to recover with immediate restart and unprecedented economics. We're continuing to develop, continue to focus on developing our best-in-class data protection and business continuity solutions through both the evolution and revolution in which the IT services are delivered. It's a unique combination of experience that comes with 30 years and innovation that has allowed us to create a data protection solution that enables organizations to manage and control a common set of data protection policies across all applications and file workloads, whether physical, virtual, on-premise, or in the cloud. The other thing as well is, because of that 30 years of history, we have basically during that time fostered strong relationships with over 7,500 partners worldwide, and that gives us a presence in something like 150 countries across the globe, a truly global company. Amanda?
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the DR strategy challenges that we have today, the complexity and costs that companies face today. So, okay, let me get control. All right. Okay. Do you want to take over, Steve, or?
Yeah, I thought you had a video.
Okay.
Carry on. Just take through. That's fine.
Okay.
So basically, in terms of state of disaster recovery, we've done a number of surveys. Some of these are through third-party industry analysts. Some of them are internal surveys that we've done with our own customer database, in point of fact. And the reality is that what we've commonly come across is that 74% of organizations that we have spoken to are not fully confident in their ability to recover in the event of a disaster. That means only 26%, a quarter, are. So it's quite frightening that people don't have that level of control. It's interesting that disaster recovery is a very hot topic at the moment. People are talking about it. People want to be able to recover from a disaster, but they don't necessarily have the provisions in place, or if they do have the provisions in place, they do not have the confidence that they will deliver in the event of a disaster. The other part of this, and to add to the complexity, is that in order to deliver these ability to recover from a disaster, organizations are frequently using more than one tool to do it. So they may use a solution to back up their physical environment, they may use a solution to back up virtual workloads, may use a solution to back up cloud workloads, and may also have something for backup, something for disaster recovery, and something for business continuity. And within all of that, it diminishes the amount of control you have over your ability to be able to recover in the event of disaster, and also have the ability to assess and control what is actually being protected and how frequently it's being protected as well. The other thing as well is defining what exactly is a disaster. I know that when we talk about disaster recovery, people think of fire, floods, earthquakes, whatever it happens to be. But the reality is 45% of all disasters are caused by hardware failure. And interestingly, another 35% is caused by power outages, which only leaves 20% for absolutely everything else. And so it's frequent that disasters actually only affect a part of your infrastructure, but still a disaster if the applications are critical enough. And what organizations need to be able to do is, in the event of such a disaster, is be able to either bring the whole site back online very quickly, or individual applications and services as appropriate, depending on what has actually failed.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the costs and complexity of business continuity. So to mitigate all of these problems that we talked before, and what is the scenario that we have today? So you have different types of systems in your environment. One type of the systems is business critical systems, which are the systems that require a low RPO, almost immediate RTO. And to protect those systems, you're going to need a disaster recovery solution. Part of that solution are many components that you're going to need. One of them is a disaster recovery software that could be installed on-prem. You're going to need a server storage for spinning up VMs. If you're going to take your data to the cloud for disaster recovery, you're also going to need a DR as a service vendor, a platform. There are many costs associated with that. The other type of information that you have to protect are your regular data and secondary systems, those that require about 24-hour RPO, that you can wait a little longer for them to be recovered. And those fall into the backup solutions, right? And still for that, you're going to need a backup software, backup storage, if you're protecting that on-prem. And if you want to take that to the cloud, you're going to need a backup as a service vendor and platform and all the costs associated with that. Last but not least, we have the mission critical systems, which require availability all the time. Downtime is not acceptable, and you need near zero RPO. So regardless if you're doing it on an application level or on a full system level, you're going to need high availability software. Depending on the solution you're using, you're going to need a specific hardware. You're going to need to have a relation with a vendor, and you're going to need a replica hypervisor if you're replicating virtual machines. So I've just numbered like at least 10 items that you need to worry about to ensure that you have business continuity. So what Arcserve is offering you is a single solution in form of an appliance, which is a unified disaster recovery and backup solution. So with our appliance, we can offer you high availability for applications or full servers with continuous data protection, failover and failback capabilities. We can offer you disaster recovery with 1 hour RPO or TO if you need. For example, you can go from a minimum 15-minute RPO to daily backups or hourly backups, and the retention any way you want it with an image-based backup technology. And you can also have your daily backups, your data protection for your secondary systems, with larger RPOs and RTOs, all that stored into one equipment with that comes with all the storage that you need. It comes with the operating system. It allows you to offload data to tape if you need to take it to another medium, and transport this tape somewhere else, and offer you a different layer of protection. And also, it provides you protection for remote offices, or the ability to have a disaster recovery site to which you can replicate data. You can integrate multiple appliances. And of course, you may replicate your data to the cloud, being or a cloud hybrid solution, or a public or private cloud platform. We have a very strong integration with Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure, with connectors that were developed for it. So all of that is included in our appliance. So the three types of environments that you saw there, the three types of systems that you have in your environment that you saw on the previous slide, they can be protected by this unified management in the appliance. With that, we unveil our new models of appliances, which is the 9000 series. They look really nice. They're yellow. They are a cost-effective solution, a DR solution for your on-prem environment that can be escalated to the cloud. It's very easy to install. You get it up and running in 15 minutes. It comes with UDP or backup image-based backup solution already installed and pre-configured. It comes with our legacy product backup, Arcserve backup, to offload data to tape. It includes all the agents that you're going to need to protect your physical and virtual systems, source-side deduplication, or global deduplication, right? The operating system that comes in the appliance is Windows Server 2016. It also comes with a Hyper-V installed in the appliance for you to spin up your machines, physical or virtual, as virtual machines inside the appliance. And of course, it offers you the connectivity to tape and to cloud. So our new series of appliances, they were designed to work not only as a backup repository, but also as a DR solution, right? So we built it for that, right? What comes with it? We have a lot of a very powerful hardware. We can scale up to 20 CPU cores and 768 gigs of RAM. We do have add-ons for cloud DR as a service and for high availability. Our effective capacity goes up to 500 terabytes in one device. And when you stack up these appliances into one single console, we can manage protection for up to 6 petabytes of data. And of course, we use our deduplication and compression technologies, which are going to bring us to up to 20 to 1 deduplication ratio. That's why we can protect that so much data and manage so much data through one console. It's software, hardware, and cloud from one single vendor, which is Arcserve. It takes us 15 minutes to install and configure. And of course, we are partnering with one of the most important hardware vendors in the world, and we can support, we can offer you support on site for 4 hours or next business day, depending on your location. So it's a lot that comes in just one box. It's not just backup, right? It's backup and disaster recovery and high availability and connectivity to the cloud. So this is pretty revolutionary. We have all of these models depending on the capacity that you want to have. We have two important numbers there, the effective capacity and the usable capacity. So you can see, let me put a pointer here. You can see from these three first models, we go from 4 to 16 terabytes. These are the 1U machines that we have. When we put here usable capacity, it's the size of the volume that we have there, right? that's going to be available for storage. But when we put compression and deduplication, we're going to have here the effective capacity, which can go from 12 to 48 terabytes in this 1U device, right? The 1U devices are single processors. Let me just get back the control from the mouse, because I think we're competing here. Okay. So we have single CPU. We can scale up memory up to 48. Well, we start with memory with 48 gigabytes. And the reason for that, if any of you know our previous models on the 8000 series, we didn't come with that much memory on the entry units. The reason for us having so much memory is to enable you to spin up your machines on the appliance and have them there up and running. You're going to see the difference between the DR models next. It comes with SSD, so we can have a better deduplication. We can ensure deduplication performance. And of course, this models that have the DR letters here on the model, they're the 2U machines. And here we go from 24 to 168 terabytes of usable capacity, which translates into half a petabyte of effective capacity in the largest model. So this is pretty powerful. These machines, these 2U machines, they all come with dual processor. On this models here, we can go up to 192 gigabytes of RAM. And on the largest model, we start with 384 gigs. So these are the models that come that are prepared for not only for DR, but also for automated DR testing inside the appliance. So it's not only going to give you the peace of mind of having your data protected and having a place to recover your servers if you have a problem in your production environment, but it's also going to allow you to automatically test your backups, spin up your machines on the appliance to make sure that when you have a disaster, they're going to be able to be restored. Not only that, it's also going to allow you to generate automatic reports about these tests, and these are going to be sent to you to your email if you want, once per week, with all the tests that were done, so you can actually have peace of mind. We also have the SSDs here, and the difference between these larger models and the smallest ones is that we have two of them that are mirrored, just to ensure that if something happens to this SSD, you can continue working without having to rebuild the hash database for the duplication. So this is very, very exciting. All these appliances, they come with additional cards that either are included or optional, depending on the models that you have here. Just so you know what kinds of cards we can have in the appliance, they all come with 1 gigabyte cards, of course, for Ethernet. But the difference here is on the model, right? So we have a 4-port card on the 2U models, and here you have only 2 ports on the 1U model. So it's optional to have the 4-port card on the smaller machines. If you have a fiber channel network that you want to connect the appliance to, you can add an HBA for that. You can also add cards for 10 gigabyte networks. This is only included on the largest model, the copper one. The fiber channel one, the optical one, is optional in all models. And oh, I'm sorry, I saw here HBA and I mixed it up. This HBA refers to the tape connection, and this one is for the fiber channel connection to the storage. So I just mixed those two up. So the tape is included. The tape connection card is included on the 2U models, and the fiber channel card for the HBA is optional on all models. They all come with dual power supplies. They're hot plug. They're redundant. They are hot swappable, so if you have any problems with any of them, it's easy to change and not having to turn it off to have it changed. And just out of curiosity, this is the weight. These are all rack mount, and it's they look very nice. The software that comes within the appliance, the UDP software that comes within the appliance, if you already know a little bit of our licensing, the three first models, the 1U models, they come with UDP Advanced, which allows you to do the image-based backups. It allows you to do tape migrations if you have the tape card. It allows you to do virtual standby and instant VM. If you want to have the hardware snapshot capabilities, role-based administration, and the automated testing, which is what we call assured recovery, this is optional. Okay, the RHA add-on is not available in these models. For the larger models, the DR models, we already come with premium licenses, which will allow you to have all of the Arcserve backup agents for tape migrations. It's going to allow you to have assured recovery. It's already included the automated testing. It's going to allow you to do virtual standby, instant VM, everything that the advanced license already has. So it's all the UDP functionalities are going to be included here. Also hardware snapshot, role-based administration, etc. And it's the RHA add-on is optional. So if you want to have machines replicating directly to virtual machines inside the appliance, you can enable this add-on, and it's going to be available there for replication. So this is different from backup. I'm going to comment about it a little bit further, but this is real-time direct replication to a replica server. A little bit about maintenance and support. We have two types of support, gold and platinum. The platinum support is the one that offers 4 hours support, but again, this depends on your location. So when you're quoting this with Steve or any of our sales people, you should ask them, if you want platinum maintenance, if the 4 hours support is available for your zip code. Okay, we have 1, 3, and 5 years support. We usually recommend the 5-year support, and of course it requires our approval to depending on your region, your zip code, if we can offer the 5-year support and the 4 hours on-site support. Okay, this is for the hardware issues that you might have. So in summary, what is new comparing to the 8000 series? So we have a more powerful hardware. It's a disaster recovery and backup solution. Okay, it was built for disaster recovery. We have expansion kits instead of in-field expansion shelves. These are going to be available starting in, I'm not sure, it's between April and May. It's right in the beginning of our next fiscal year. So you should expect this to be available for quoting in around April or May. So this will allow you to expand the disk capacity of the appliance without having to put an external shelf. It's an expansion done in the appliance. Okay. We have redundant everything. We have 2 CPUs, we have redundant power supplies, we have redundancy for the disks, everything is redundant. We have scalability, so we can scale up to 500 terabytes of effective capacity, which is double our largest model, the 8400 on the 8000 series, right? So it's very scalable. It's a new hardware. We have partnered with a new vendor for that. It's the number one hardware vendor in the world. So you might guess who it is. Very robust, reliable, and compatible with everything. And the 6th thing we offer you here is the peace of mind of having 4-hour on-site support, depending on your region. So you can just have your peace of mind. If something happens to your appliance, you're going to have very fast support. The technology that comes inside the appliance is UDP on version 6.5. As soon as we have the version 7 launched, we're going to have the new images for these appliances on version 7. And what does UDP offer you, right? UDP offers you image-based backups for all types of servers that you have, virtual, physical, the data that reside on the share in the NAS server, um, virtualization hosts, VMware, Hyper-V. Very soon, we're going to have Nutanix as well on version 7, Office 365, workstations, everything that you have, all the applications that you need to protect can be protected with UDP in our appliance. You're going to manage everything through a centralized console. Everything will be stored on disks. It can come from remote offices. It can be replicated to remote offices, and we reduce your storage footprint with deduplication and infinite incrementals. We can replicate your data between appliances or to the cloud with deduplication, which is going to allow you to save your bandwidth. Also, if you want to then export this data to the cloud, if you want to export it to a DR site or something like that, if you want to generate a dump of your backup data and store it in a cloud object storage or in another disk, you can do all that with UDP. You can recover your data with granularity, in file level, folder level, application level. You can recover your entire servers in a matter of minutes with our virtual standby and instant VM technologies. You can do DR testing with assured recovery. All this comes with UDP, right? So this is very powerful, and it's going to give you everything you need to protect your multi-generational environment and the different and be able to comply with the different RPOs and RTOs that you might have. Not only that, our appliances also allow you to work with high availability. High availability is, it doesn't depend on backup. You're not going to have to do a backup to provide high availability to your most critical servers, right? So you're going to have a replication engine on your most critical servers, and you're going to be able to replicate them to standby virtual machines on our Hyper-V inside the appliance in real time. It doesn't matter if your source servers are physical or virtual, or if they reside in a different hypervisor. You're still going to be able to use the Hyper-V inside the appliance to receive the replication from the servers. If you want to do this on an application level as well, this is also possible. And we do support Windows and now also Linux servers to do that. So if you have machines that require near zero RPO and RTO, and you want to be able to replicate them independently of their backup strategy, right? You're going to be able to do so with our appliance. And of course, the advantage of doing that, instead of doing like an application level replication from your application vendor, is that from the very same UDP console, you're going to be able to manage everything, your backups, your recoveries, and your high availability scenarios. So it's all within one box. Let's talk a little bit about the use cases. How can we use these appliances, right? So if you have, for example, 2 locations, 2 offices, you can have an appliance on each office. And this is a very common architecture that we see. We can protect all of your servers, physical, virtual. You can do export to tapes. You can manage everything centrally from only one console. And then you can cross-replicate between sites to have the data from location A on location B and data from location B on location A, all with DR testing and all these benefits that I told you about. If you have more complex environments, you don't need to have like one appliance for each site. You may have multiple appliances on one side. If you want to segment the backup and segment the flow and optimize the backup flow within your environment, so you can have multiple appliances, you can replicate with them between them, And if you have these appliances also on different sites, you can also do the same. So this allows us to segment the environment and have multiple data flows, and then create redundancy of this backup data between the appliances. Also, if you want to then offload this data to the cloud, you can replicate between the appliances, but also replicate the backup data to our UDP cloud hybrid. Here in the example, we're talking about cloud hybrid, but you can also do this to Amazon Web Services or to Microsoft Azure, and have your data replicated there with deduplication, optimized with a reduced storage footprint. And then if you want to spin up your servers on the cloud, you can also do that with the solution. So what we're going to give you here is a hypervisor on the cloud in which you're going to be able to build your machines and have them running on the cloud in case you have a disaster in your on-premises environment. So this is really, really powerful. And you can actually do this just by enabling the cloud hybrid add-on for the appliances. We're going to need to store the data here and put up the resources on the cloud. But you're going to have everything managed from your console, and everything controlled in a very simple way. Okay. In summary, it's a complete solution with image-based backups, with deduplication, reducing the storage footprint, with high availability, with data replication, not only backup replication, but also prediction data replication. We can offload to tape. We can have advanced scheduling. We can schedule your automated DR tests. We can do file level backup, physical, virtual, everything is in this solution, right? So this is really exciting, really powerful. Okay. This is all we have in the appliances. We're going to open up for Q&A now. I'm going to call up Harold. I assume he was answering your questions in the questions box. I'm just going to ask him if we have any questions that he wants to bring up for everybody to hear.
Thank you, Amanda. Good morning, everyone. So I've had a few questions about the appliances, mainly actually about Nutanix, funny enough. It seems to be a hot topic. So just in general about Arcserve UDP version 7. Arcserve UDP version 7 will be released. The current planning is about May the 1st, as Amanda said earlier. That's where we have the support for Nutanix A3 as well inside of these appliances. Another question that pops up a few times is about the DR capabilities. So the appliance itself provides the DR capabilities using the hypervisor. Now, it might be not being very clear for people that don't know Arcserve yet, but we are a cross-hypervisor technology. So we don't care what we protect. If there's a VMware machine, a Hyper-V machine, soon Nutanix machines, or physical machines, we can spin them up as VMs using instant virtual machine and virtual standbys inside the appliance directly. There's no need for any conversions. We take care of those conversions for you. Okay. Other things that we see here, other questions that I get here is about sharing the presentation. Absolutely, we will. We're recording the session. We make that session available. We send out the slides after the webinar itself. I get more questions right now. I get a few questions about file archiving. I try to answer them as I type, but I can't type so quickly, guys. So file archiving is part of the Arcserve solution itself by default. So what
Harold,
we can do is, yeah.
What I'll do is I will post the link to your article on that in the feed to all. So as well, carry on describing it, but I think that's obviously a quicker way of answering that question as well.
Absolutely.
So I'll do that for you now.
Right.
That was all.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, mate. So yes, I actually wrote an article about file archiving, and that can be utilized with the appliance as well, or you got the license by default. So Steve will send out the link in the questionnaire, and we will send you afterwards as well. other questions we get is about Arcserve Cloud Hybrid. So what is Arcserve Cloud Hybrid? Arcserve Cloud Hybrid is an extension of your local Arcserve UDP environment. What you will get is actually your own RPS server with an hypervisor in there, where we actually can replicate data from the appliance into the Cloud Hybrid, and we can spin up virtual machines for you there. Using the DRaaS functionality. So how much resources would that need? Well, it depends. It depends on what you have locally, of course. It depends on what we utilize. But one of the great features is our deduplication and technology. So what it means in the cloud is that, let's say you have, as an example, 10 terabyte of front-end data. We store that in the backup as let's say 2 terabytes or 3 terabytes. Then what you will utilize in the cloud is about 3 terabytes. Now, if you want to spin up virtual machines, one thing that we do require is, okay, how much RAM do we need? We couple automatically the vCPUs and the virtual CPUs to that. So you buy actually the RAM in package of 4 gigs for the cloud hybrid. Okay. Let me see if I get any other questions. Do we support Ubuntu Linux for UDP? Absolutely. For RHA, I will double check that. I'm pretty sure we do. RHA is actually due when we're coming live in May with UDP version 7. We also actually have a new version of RHA, version 18, which supports full system HA for Linux, for instance, which supports Azure, backups to Azure and application to Azure. If I buy the UDP appliances, do I will lose my existing licensing? I work in government. If you buy a UDP appliance, the appliance comes with full licensing. So anything that you want to protect in your environment is licensed using the appliance. Okay, that includes Office 365. So Office 365 Exchange Online, Office 365 SharePoint, and soon also Office 365 OneDrive. If you have current licenses, talk to your local account manager. We can do something around it. We can check what we can do with your current license and towards an appliance, but you have to talk with your local account manager for this. How does the appliance interface with ONTAP for NetApp? So we have full support with NetApp. We can actually utilize hardware snapshots from NetApp. So we have full support with that. The way we do it, I don't know if you're using VM or Hyper-V, but we can actually take the snapshots. We actually, what we tend to do is when we configure the appliance and utilize the hardware snapshots, we actually log into the ONTAP environment, so it will actually know where the VMs are sitting, and once we take a snapshot, that VM will be taken. The snapshot will be taken on the ONTAP or on the NetApp array and mounted to the UDP appliance, and then we can actually bake up over the SAN network. So fully yes. Can you give me an example of high availability, and how would that work from the appliance? Well, high availability is actually a bit of a hidden gem. It comes with a lot of functionality. And a couple of scenarios that you can do is, for instance, full system high availability. So what is full system high availability? Is whereby we can protect the source, whether it's physical servers, so Linux physical, Windows physical, even Solaris physical servers, and we can spin them up as virtual machines. Okay, then we have another thing that what we call is application high availability. Application high availability is that we can actually help you to protect your SQL database, Oracle database, even custom-made in-house application, and have a hot server, your production server, and a cold standby server. We replicate that data and we can spin it up. That can be done on the appliance as well. You can pre-install those standby servers on the appliance and actually spin those VMs up inside the appliance itself. The beauty of RHA is that it actually comes with a full network redirection. So when you fail over, it does a full network redirection. So if you're in a different subnet, it's all taken care of for that. And you can also rewrite the data back. Okay, there are some YouTubes within the Arcserve channel on YouTube about the RHA, and I think pretty soon we will have some more with our new release coming up in the future. So let me see, can we use the appliance on-premise while using ESXi host in DR? Will the appliance convert the images? Yes, so we don't care what operating system we have. So if you have ESX, VMware, Nutanix, and we want to spin up VMs inside our appliance Hyper-V, that is fully supported. We do that. We take care of the conversion, so it is cross hypervisor. So it's one of the most brilliant things. And I think what in later webinars that we do, we actually will demo this kind of cross hypervisor technology. Is there support for Azure? We have support for Azure. We can do virtual standbys from the appliance. So if we protect anything from local machines, we want to take that up into Azure. We can create a virtual standby straight away into Azure for your machines. And if anything happens with local, you can spin them up into Azure if you want to without anything. If you want to protect resources inside Azure, it does depend. If you have a lot of data sitting in Azure, it might be better to actually have a small RPS server inside Azure and replicate the data back to an appliance. That's one way. Or if it's just a single VM over Azure, you can actually protect that using the appliance as well. That's not a problem. I've got someone in South Africa. Can we have a demo workshop? Absolutely, we can arrange that. My colleagues of South Africa, Arcserve South Africa, are actually in the call, and they will make contact with you later after the call. That's not a problem. Are hardware level network snapshots backups also available for sys NFS mount points? No, that's very easy. So we don't have on the NetApp itself. If you're using the file level capability of the NetApp itself, i.e. sharing, then we don't take the hardware snapshots on that level. However, we can protect file level data on the NetApp. So we have sys capability and NFS capability. So we can protect the NetApp using sys and NFS capability. But that's an item level backup that we take care of. VMware 6.7 is fully supported. Absolutely. Update 1 will be supported with version 7 coming up. So we have full VMware support. Would you still advise to buy an 8000 appliance? Our 8000 appliances are available up to, I think it was the end of June. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but that's when the end of sale is actually for the 8000 support. So they're still good appliances. Absolutely, it's the same software in there. But I would say I would look with your local account manager, because the 8000 series are very cost effective as well. So it does. I believe
that. I was going to say, I think they're actually end availability is technically the end of March, but there may be some stock items left that are available into the following quarter. Yeah. So, okay. But ultimately the 9000 series started shipping last Tuesday, so they are fully available now. So there's so that we are, as new boxes, really only shipping 9000 series now.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Steve. Possibly to restore VM from on-premise into Azure. We can utilize virtual standby. I mentioned that earlier. So you can protect using a protection plan. You protect your virtual machines, maybe in VMware Hyper-V or physical. Create a plan, and the second task of a plan could be virtual standby. You select Azure, and once you selected Azure, it will actually create a clone inside Azure for you. And then within the UDP console itself, you can say, okay, spin that VM up inside Azure, and you'll recover it inside Azure. Can you tune how much appliance RAM you want to use? For instance, for RHA, so we have different levels of memory packs that we can do. By default, it depends on the appliance model. There was a slide that Amanda had earlier where you can see 48 gig for the lower models, 192 gig, I think it was, for the larger models, and 500 something gig. I don't know exactly out of my head because I don't have it in front of me, but a larger memory. So if you want to add memory, we can actually do that. So normally what we tend to do is, when we have discussions around with yourself or customers, we actually do a sizing exercise. What do you need? If the RHA is needed inside the appliance, okay, how much more memory would we require? What kind of appliance is better for that? So we absolutely can tune it, absolutely. RHA on 9024, so on the lower models. At the moment, RHA is not available on the lower models. However, that will change from April the 1st, so it will become available for the lower models. Premium Plus, there's a slight change in licensing. So we had Advanced, Premium, and Premium Plus. Moving forward, we have Advanced and Premium Plus will discontinue. Instead of that, we actually have the RHA add-on. Okay, so the RHA add-on will actually replace the Premium Plus. Depending on the model, there's a cost associated to it. And again, with the account manager, they can talk to it. We could talk and discuss this. I think I have covered most questions. I'm just covering quickly through. I don't know, Steve, if you have any other.
What I was going to do, I don't have any other questions here that I can see. What I was going to do was just take everybody off mute. Dangerous thing. So if you're doing anything that's embarrassing and noisy, then stop doing it now. Just see if anybody has any questions over the phone line. So give me 1 second. Okay, you can unmute yourself at any time, basically. I can't, so if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to click the mute button. And if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll be happy to endeavour to ask the questions that you have. As we mentioned, that yeah, we will follow up with an email which will have these slides. We'll have some collateral around the 9000 series, and also links of where you can get information about contacting your local representatives as well. And by all means, feel free to contact myself, Amanda, or Harold if you have any questions following on from this presentation today, and we'd be happy to answer.
I don't see any other questions.
So, hello.
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 The appliance itself comes with Windows 2016, so Windows 2016 and Hyper-V will be installed on the appliance. Is that correct?
That's correct, David.
Correct.
Right. So, is that just running through the GUI, or do you have any way of controlling it through command line or something like that?
So the appliance itself comes with the full GUI, but when we do the wizard, when you install an appliance for the first time, it actually comes up with a 9-step wizard, which takes you 15 minutes actually to install the appliance itself and fully up and running. So that's all you have. So it is a fully wizard. It is a fully GUI version of 2016. You can do normal management on it as you are used to with Windows. So
right.
Absolutely.
So there's no like console that.
Oh, you broke up there, David.
So there is no console in that sense, like command line that gives you deeper control over functionalities, is there?
From a Windows perspective, no. But from an Arcserve perspective, we do have some command lines and deep dive command lines for more advanced administration tasks. Although I never recommended to use it yourself, but in combination with support.
Right, in combination with support. So, but if someone, for example, did some education, for example, became customer certified or something, would that person then be, how can I say, qualified to use those functions or not?
Some of them, yes. Some of them, I still would recommend it to do it with support, because they can actually change the behavior of some of the tasks that you're doing, or maybe even the configuration. And if there's a specific configuration change, and let's say, and you have a call later on in the year with, for instances of support, and they're not aware of it, then there might be some mismatch. So I would always recommend, if you make a configuration change that is deeper dive level, make support aware of that as well.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, David. Are there any more questions?
If there are, you will need to. You will need
Sorry.
to unmute yourself if you have a question. I can't actually unmute you. I'll give you control, everybody control, so they can unmute themselves, but I can't unmute everybody by default. So if you have a question, unmute yourself and feel free to ask. And if there are no more questions, on behalf of myself, Harold and Amanda, I'd like to thank you all very much for taking the time today to have a look at the new 9000 series, and I look forward to speaking to some of you soon. Like I said, if you have any questions, there's some links on the page here. We will be sending over a copy of this presentation, was one of the questions. And if there are any questions that you think of following this presentation, then do feel free to ask, and we will endeavour to find you an answer. Hopefully speak to you all again soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.